Well, very good morning, guys. Yeah, last 3 days, I've just been explaining about like how to use a link and interact with databases. Okay, so in this process, we have just been followed a set of steps here. What is the first thing? First, we created a database in on the server with the name MVC DB. In that, we created a table called as student. And after creating the table called student, we have just gone for opening a new MVC project. And in the project, we have just added the OR designer, drag and dropped the required tables on the OR designer, drag and drop the required tables on the OR designer, where in the left-hand side panel, and it generated all the required classes, properties, methods, everything is generated for you. And once you do that, you started implementing your logic. Okay. So fine, guys, here I need to correct one small thing here. What's it is? When you drag and drop the first object, yeah. When we drag and drop the first object, table has to word design, it will perform the following actions. What is the first one, guys? Writes connection string into web.config file, targeting to the database we have configured in Server Explorer. Second, defines a new parameterless or defines a new default constructor in MVCDB data context class, and we can use this constructor for creating the instance of MVC data context class for connecting to the web. And this construct will read the connection string from web.config file. Whereas in the latest version, this constructor is not defined. Are you clear? Whereas in the latest version, this constructor is not defined. This constructor is not getting defined in the latest version, guys. Okay, so we need to use what? The parameterized constructor of context class and pass the name of connection string to the parameter. Okay. So what you need to do? Yeah, what you need to do? You're required to file. Whereas in the latest version, this default constructor is not defined. So we need to use the existing parameterized constructor of MVCDB class that takes string as a parameter. And for that, we need to pass the name of connection string by reading it. Pass the name of connection string by reading it from web.config file. Yeah, you need to read it from the web.config file and pass that particular value there. Am I clearer, guys? Okay. So this is same here. No changes to this. Whenever you create an instance, what happens? It is going to define you the class and all. Okay. Also read this note, guys. Table of entity. Array, in our code, you defined a property called students. Remember, students is which type? Table of student. That student is nothing but the entity. So table of entity is a generic class under system.data.link namespace, which also contains a set of methods like delete on submit, insert on submit, single or default. Not only single or default, there's still so many methods I just said you. Remember, first or default, still, single, first, etc. For performing CRUD operations, recollect yourself. When you want to perform an insert, which method did you call? Insert on submit. When you want to perform a delete, which method to call? I said you, delete on submit. When you want to find a record, 4 methods I listed you. What? First or default, single or default, single, first. Any of these methods you can call for performing CRUD operations on the entity. For performing the CRUD operations on the entity, we need to call all these methods. Okay. Now I explained you how to perform CRUD operations like insert, update, and delete operations. For insert, 3 steps, remember? First step. What is the first step? Create an instance of the entity. Who is your entity? Student. And this is representing the student entity. Student entity in the sense here, table here. Here, student entity in the sense it is the table. Student entity table, because each instance is a record, each instance record, and then assign values to properties and assign values to properties because those properties represents attributes. You require to assign values to the properties because those properties represents attributes. Yeah, we done it. Second step, we need to call a method. Which method? Insert on submit on the table means which adds a record to the table in a pending state. Remember, pending state means local copy, temporary. Third one, submit changes method on data context object for saving the changes to database server. So when you call this method, all the changes are saved to the database server in this context. For updating, create reference here instance of entity and here reference of the entity to be updated by calling first or default or single or default or single methods on the table. What is the table? Students. To be clear here, when I say table, it is always students. Okay. Next, reassign values to the properties of reference. Properties of reference, so that old values gets changed to new values. The old values will be changed to the new values now. Third step, call submit changes method on the data context object for saving the changes to database. Now here, again, reference, this is same as the step 2 on the top. Yes or not? This is same as the step 2 on the top. Okay, by calling first, next, first or default, single or default, single. Okay, second step, call delete on submit method on the table, that is students, which deletes the record from the table in pending state. It is going to delete the record from the table in pending state. Last step is same again, call submit changes method on the data context object for saving the changes to database server. So these are the 3 steps that are involved. These are the 3 steps that are involved performing your operations. Clearer? And then first step, what did I do first? I defined a class and a models folder, naming it student Dal. And remember, guys, this is defined to perform all the CRUD operations. Class name, Then you created the instance. Okay, guys, here only I just wanted to make out the difference. If this is old version, if this is old version, are you clear? If the new version, what to write? DB data context is equals to new MVC DB data context. Okay, just a minute here. Configure manager dot connection strings of dot connection string. What is the problem? Just a minute. Guys, have a look. If you have a default constructor, write up the code like this. Okay, old version. Provided if default constructor is defined. No, yeah, default constructor is not defined now. Default constructor is not defined. A default constructor is not defined. How do you write the code? New version. So have a look, all of you. Two options I've used. One is old version. If try this, guys, try this one. Working, well and good, leave it. If not working, then try this. Are you guys clearer? So that's what. Try the first option. It works, well and good, no issues. If it doesn't work, then go to second option. How do you write? Configuration manager dot connection things of MVC DB connection thing. And all of you remember, someone was posting this particular message yesterday in the classroom. What are you writing here? You can't write whatever you want. Go and see what is in the config file and write there. Understood? Someone in the group MVC DB con str, something they written. What do you write here? Use your brain. Very clearly explained to you on that day. Go to config file. What is present in the config file? See, what is the name? This name should be used there. You can't use whatever name you want. Understood? What is the name? MVCDB connection string. That is the same name what should be used here. Yesterday in the group I saw someone writing their MVCDB con str. For them, I'm just telling that one. Yeah, MVCDB con. They written MVCDB con. Who is it? I don't know. No name there. CMD. Who is that? I don't know. Okay, MVCDB con, not MVCDB con. MVCDB connection string. Where you required to check the name? Go to config file and use the name as it is here. Don't write whatever you like. Are you clear? Fine. So either first option or the second option to create the instance. Okay. Now you can start writing now. First method. This one passing boolean. Remember, if status is not equal to null, what are they getting? All the records based on the status. If it is null, all records. What is context array? Context is nothing but the name what we have used here. The name is context. Sorry guys, here also I'll change the name. Context. Any name doesn't matter. Any name here, not the object name. That's all. Okay. And see, when you want to get all the records, I tell you this is the simplest way of writing the code. Another way of writing, how to write? Students is equals to from sin context dot students select S. From sin context dot students select S. The whole query should be in the braces and you should call dot to list. Both are same guys. You can try in any of the ways you just want there. Okay now? But the first one is simple than the second. What next? Return students. And your code is in the try catch. If any exception is there, you're throwing. Second method. Here also it is same process, guys. Here also it is the same process. Next, add. You called a method insert on submit. Submit changes. Update. See there, you created a reference. You created a reference with the SID. So this reference will contain old values now. And see, overriding the old values with new values. Finally calling submit changes. Delete. I said you two things to you. One, first create a reference. You want a permanent deletion? Write this code. You want to change the status? Write this code. Option yours. If you want a permanent deletion, first one. If you want to just a change in the status, second line. Okay. Fine. Then we have the controller, and from the controller we call the methods. Now display students, display student, add student, get and post. Next, edit student, update student. No need to write get and post because we have different names. Next, delete student. Then here are the views. All the views what we have. Is that clear? How many views? 4 views. What we created for all the things. All the 4 views. Okay now. Yeah. Guys, here I want to tell you a small thing here. Right now, we are performing the CRUD operations. And to perform the CRUD operations, we just written, for selecting, we written a query. For inserting, we called a set of methods. For updating, we called a set of methods. For inserting, what methods are called? Insert on submit, submit changes. For updating, singular default, submit changes. For deleting, singular default, delete on submit, submit changes. Like this, we just called a set of methods, and all these are predefined methods. And to call these methods, we have implemented our logic. We have implemented our logic in the DAL class. We have written the logic in the DAL class. In the DAL class, we written all the logic to call the methods, and finally we call these methods from the controller now. Yes or not? Default constructor for connection is defined in which file? Data context class. If it is defined in the old versions, it will define. In the new versions, it won't define. Array. Yeah, this is the property you see in the data context class. Have you noticed it? This is a property. Which type? Table type. There's a namespace here. Let us simplify this. This is what you say. Public, students, table, return this dot get table of students. So the question is, read it. You only get now how you're able to set it. When did I assign a value to students here? Did I assign any value to students? I did not assign a value. The one who will raise this question, check out. Ramakrishna, I did not assign a value to student at all. Check out your code. I said students dot, and I called a method on it. I did not do an assignment for students. If I don't have a setter, you cannot assign a value to students. I did not assign. Did you catch my point? I did not assign. This is referring to students. I'm getting it. After getting it on this, I'm calling a method called insert on submit. I called a method. I did not do any direct assignment to students. Check out your code. Nowhere there is a direct assignment to students. If you directly try to assign a value to students, you will get an error. Why? Property is read only. You can only get, but you cannot set. Understood my point? Yes or not? Okay. But I did not do any assignment anywhere. Manoj, yesterday I said you wait until you talk, or otherwise you study on your own. Okay, don't ask me. Again and again you ask the same question. Annotations. Wait here. They're used with entity framework. I said you. Annotations comes into picture with entity framework. Wait. Okay. So all the views are defined. Now coming back, what I'm telling you, array, to perform these operations, to perform all these operations, what are we doing is we are writing the DAL class, and inside of the DAL class, we started defining a set of methods. Are you clear? Inside of the DAL class, we started defining a set of methods, and these particular methods are called implicitly to perform all the CRUD operations. Okay. But guys, remember this point. What is that? If at all you perform these operations by calling stored procedures, you learned about stored procedures and calling stored procedures all day. if you try to perform these operations with the help of stored procedures, you can skip the DAL code. You can skip the DAL code. No need of DAL code. What did you do in the DAL code? DAL code, you return the methods. In the DAL code, what did you do here? You return the methods. Am I correct or not? You return the methods in the DAL code. So those all methods are not required to be defined again. You don't require to define the methods again. Why? Your procedures will now work like methods. Your procedures will now work like methods. All your procedures will become the methods now. So no need of writing a DAL class and defining the methods again in the DAL class. What you can use? Procedures. Shall we try an example performing the code operations by calling store procedures now? We'll do the same thing now by calling store procedures. Earlier in the previous example, we done this by how we done our previous example? By writing all the methods manually on your own. By writing all the methods manually on our own. Now, I want to do the same actions here by calling stored procedures. Without writing the methods, I want to do these particular actions by calling the stored procedures. I hope you guys are clear what I'm telling you. Okay, so that's what. So what to do first? Define the procedures first. What will you do first? Define all the procedures first. If you define your procedures, now you can do all your operations with the help of the procedure calls without writing the DAL class, without writing the DAL class, so that you can skip the DAL class code. You can directly skip off the DAL class code in this context. Okay, let us see now how are we going to perform these particular actions. How are we going to perform the actions without a DAL class by the help of stored procedures? And you guys, all of you know how to define stored procedures now. I don't require to teach you how to define a stored procedure now. Is that clear? You guys are familiar defining the stored procedures. So let us write some stored procedures. Leave this project. I'll create a new project. First, let us go to SQL Server. What's your database? MVC DB. And here I want to write procedures. Come on, go to programmability, right click, new stored procedure. It gives a template for writing the code, delete. And now I wanted to create a procedure and have a look at the code of the procedure. Look now, what am I doing? I'm writing a procedure, student underscore select. What are the parameters I'm passing? SID integer null, means optional. Status bit null. That is also, I have written the same procedure for you in your C# classes already. What is the first one? If SID and status are null, I want to fetch all the records from the table. I want to fetch all the records from the table. Next. If ID is null and status is not null, what do you want to fetch? You want to fetch the records based on status now. Next. ID is not null, status is null. We want to fetch the record based on SID. Both option. Both are null. We want to fetch the data based on ID and status also. ID and status also. Okay. So let us create the procedure. And guys, you can execute and see. What is the procedure name? Execute student underscore select. Don't pass any value. All the records are loaded. Guys, actually, we are not directly dealing with the status in our applications now. That's why I did not fetch status at all. What I fetched is only ID, name, class, piece, and photo. Why, sir? Because I am not directly dealing with the status in my code anywhere. I'm only dealing with this 5 only. I'm not dealing with the status. Okay. Next. Pass only status at the rate status is equals to 1. Guys, watch. The 4 active records. The 4 active records. 0. The 1 inactive record. We have 1 inactive record and 4 or 5 active records present there. 5 or 6. Okay, 4. And 1 is an active record. Okay, next. I am passing at the rate SID is equals to 101. I'm getting the record. At the rate SID is equals to 102. Whatever you ask, you get it. Next option, 101. Means I'll get the record only when the status is 1. If the status is not 1, I won't get the data now. Watch. Status is 1 only now. Same way, I'm writing 102 at the rate status is equals to 1. I won't get this output now. Why? Status is not 1. Status is 0. Without writing select always, we written a procedure and passing different values and getting the results on the procedure now, which makes it easy. Okay. Next. Second procedure is for insert. Nothing to speak about insert here. Very simple code. Watch. SID, name, class, piece, photo. Photo is optional. Photo is a optional. Equal to null in the sense optional. Insert into student, passing all the values. Execute. What next? Update. Execute. Next, delete. Execute. Now, how many records are there, guys? Total 5 records. In this, 1 is inactive, but 4 are active. Okay. Execute student underscore delete at the rate SID equals to 104. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to delete the record number 104 and delete in the sense again we're setting the status as inactive. That's all. 1 row affected, and you can see now there are 3 active, 2 inactive. Okay, next. Execute student underscore insert. Okay, and pass on the values. I want to pass all the 5 values. Then no need to write the parameter names here. If you want to pass all values, no need to pass parameter. Here also, not required. Directly we can pass. But just to make it understand, these values for ID, these values for something. Okay, here also. Not mandatory, but still. SID is equals to 106. SID is equals to 106. Just a minute. Yeah, these are the records you have. Okay. Next, comma, at the rate name is equals to, okay, something, David. At the rate class is equals to 5. At the rate space is equals to 50,000. At the rate photo is equals to a photo name. Or if I don't pass, also no issue because it is optional null. Okay, now I'm inserting values into these four fields now. Execute. And guys, watch. You have 6 records. You have 6 records. And here is active record only. Why, sir? If I don't give a value, default value comes into picture. What is the default value? 1. That is an active record. I want to update it now. I want to update it. How do you update? Same process. Call, execute, student underscore, update. Whatever you want to modify, change the value. This is 6 now, and this is 60,000. Updated. The data is updated, see? 6 and 60,000. Image is null. You want to update the image, you can update the image also. If you want to update the image, you can also update the image. How? Comma, @photo is equals to image6.jpg. Recall updated. See now it has an image also. All the procedures we directly called from the defined in SQL Server, called in SQL Server. That's all. So all these procedures are working now. Now these procedures will work as methods to you in the code. So you can skip the del code methods now. Did you catch my point or not? These procedures will work like methods in the code. Because they'll work like methods in the code, what you can skip? The del class is not required. Understood my point? Come on, observe all of you. Let us create a new project. MVC with link to. MVC with link to. A folder, MVC 11. Create. MVC project hai? Create. Next step. Add the OR designer. Add the OR designer. Right click on models. Add. New item. Select data. Link to SQL. Classes. What is the name? Database name. MVC DB. Mandatory, not mandatory, but there's a convention. Click on the add button. Okay, next step. Configure your database under the Server Explorer. Data connections. Add connection. SQL Server. Server name. Authentication. SQL authentication. User ID SA. Password 123. MVC DB. Test the connection once. Okay. All steps are same, guys, till now. What did we do in the last session, last example? We drag and drop the table onto. We dragged the table onto the order. Where? Left hand side. Now we want to work with the table or procedure. Drag and drop all the procedures on the right hand side of the word designer. That's all. Drag and drop the process on the right hand side. Come on, guys. Student underscore delete. Insert. select, update. Clear? We did not pick the table, guys. We picked only stored procedures. Only the stored procedures. Okay. On the day, 2 days back, I explained you what happens when you drag and drop a table on the OR designer. Are you clear? Then now also when you drag and drop the first object, the first procedure, connection string is implemented in the config file. Go and see if you want. Connection string is implemented. If you are working with the new latest, if you're working with the new or the latest, then if you're working with the old, then this will also have the default constructor. I said you currently latest, it is removed. But if you're working with the old, what will have? Default constructor will be present here also. Are you getting my point? Call the last one. What are you doing, man? I'm seeing you from the last 10 minutes. Your head is down only. This is one the first time I said to you. Concentrate on the class. Okay. So this is right now, because the latest version I said to you, we don't have a default constructor, but the old one will have a default constructor. But yeah, that is good. But connection string was implemented. Connection string was implemented. Okay, fine. Now, let me explain you about this. What is that? What happens when we drag and drop a stored procedure on the OR design? Earlier, guys, I explained to you what happens when we drag and drop a table on the OR design. What did I say? Defines a class. Defines a class representing the entity. Second step, defines properties representing the attributes or columns. Third step, in the data context class, you'll find the property as table of entity. And that works like your table now, and you require to do all the CRUD operations on that only now. Understood? Now it is not a table, it is a procedure. What happens when we drag and drop a stored procedure on the OR design? Okay. When we drag and drop a stored procedure on the OR designer, the below actions get performed. The below actions get performed. What happens? Defines a method under context class with the same name of the stored procedure. So you can call this method for read it. It is going to define a method under MVC DB data context class now. With the same name of stored procedure, with the same name of stored procedure. Understood me? Okay, with the same name of stored procedure. So you can call this method for calling the stored procedure. If you want to call a procedure in C#, you need to take the help of a command class, pass the procedure name as a command text, add the parameters, all this not required. Directly it's a method now. You know how to call a method now? Do I need to teach how to call you a method? Create the instance of the MVC DB data context class, call the method. That's all. Simple. 2 lines code, that's all. What to do? Create the instance of this class, call the method. The method will call the procedure. Are you clear? But just before calling, some few things you need to learn. What? If the procedure has any parameters, then those parameters are defined to our method also. Procedure has parameters here. Parameters are defined for our method also. That is, if the procedure parameter is an input parameter, then our method parameter is also input. Okay, so understand, if the procedure parameter is an input parameter, then our method parameter is also input. And if the procedure parameter is an output parameter, then our method parameter is also output. Is it clearer or not? So read the things carefully. The procedure has any parameters, then those parameters are defined to our method also. That is, if the procedure parameter is input, is a input parameter or is input parameter, then our method parameter is also input. And if the procedure parameter is an output parameter, then our method parameter is also output. I'll tell you, watch. Create procedure test @int x @y. Sorry guys. @x int @y int @z int out. Watch now. The first two are input parameter. The last one is a output parameter. Are you clear? Okay. Now, here it is going to create a method for you now. Watch. Public int test. Guys, carefully observe. Public int test. Int x input. Int y input. Output. It's not out, it is ref. In out. Perfectly speaking, in C# it is in out ref. See now, x is input parameter. Here also input only. Y is input parameter. Here also input only. Z is output parameter. Here also output. But how did we write it? Ref in Z. Is that clear, all of you? Luckily, right now we did not define any output parameters in our procedures. All parameters are input. But if you have any output, here also will have outputs. That are nothing but the ref. Okay, fine. Next. If the procedure is defined to perform any non-query operations, then the return type of our method will be int. Read that. I written 4 procedures now. Select, insert, update, delete. In these 4, 3 are non-query procedures. What 3? Insert, update, delete. So for all these 3, what is the return type of the method, guys? Integer. What is the return type? Okay, all of you observe. Look at this, everyone. This is your procedure now. Can you tell me a method for this? Louder. Public int student underscore insert. Not opening the mouth. Open the mouth and speak out. Come on. First one. Int question mark SID. Why? Array in database all are nullable, but in C# they are not nullable. See, if I say not null, yeah, then only int SID. But if I say not null, then compulsory into question mark SID. Next. String name. No need question mark there. Why? Strings are nullable. Next. Int question mark class. Decimal, not double N, decimal question mark piece. String photo. Where? Why you thinking that much time? Where means string na? Int is int only. Where is string. Int is int. Money is decimal. Photo where is string. Now I won't help you. Now you tell me for this now. Public int student underscore update. Int question mark SID. Name. Int question mark class. Decimal question mark piece. String photo. Try this. This is simple. Public int student underscore delete. Now tell me, insert has 4 parameters. Int, string, int, decimal, string, right? Int, string, int, decimal, string. Update. Same only, na? Int, string, int, decimal, and string. Delete. But all these 3 are value returning methods. Correct, na? Now all these methods are defined for you automatically. Where these methods are? These methods are in the MVC DB data context. That's what I already clarified you on the first only. See. You want to see them? Come on, open the Solution Explorer. Check yourself. This is your class. Insert, select, update. Check it out. Int, string, int, decimal, string. Int. Forget select. Int. Update. Int, string, int, decimal, string. Check it out. Return type of delete. Return type of insert. Return type of update. They're all methods now. Simple methods. What are defined? So are you clear till now? If the procedure is defined to perform any, then the return type of the method will be integer. Okay, next. If the procedure is defined to perform query operations, then read. Query operations, then the return type of the method will be I single result of T, where T is the class that will represent our entity. Remember, guys, a select means what do you want? Array, I want a table or a list or something, a collection now. In the previous example also select, remember select means you're expecting something as a list of student or table of student, something, a collection you're representing. Okay. Here guys, a little bit confusion is, it is I single result. What is the I single result? The I single result is nothing but a parent of the table. And for this I single result, the parent is I enumerable. Interface guys, it's a parent. Like in exceptions, we have different categorizations. See, system exception, application exception. Under system exception, again we have arithmetic exception. Same categorization here also. What is this? We have a category called of type T, and your table is a child class of it now. So table of T, I single result of T, both are same. In our previous example, it is a table of T, but nowadays, sir, I don't know what is this I single result. I don't know what is the table. I very clearly said you. You don't know, call to list here. It will convert up into list and you can work with a table list now. You know how to work with list. Don't bother. What is it? Simple process. To list. It will convert up into list. And you know, list is nothing but a dynamic array. You know how to work with an array, inserting values in the array, adding values to list, removing values to list. All these things expand the collections to you. You can start working with the collections directly in the code now. Okay. So don't bother what is I single result. Don't just, that is I single result, that's all. But I'll convert that into list if required. Okay, now T represents your class, representing the entity, representing the, what is our entity? Student is our entity. What is our entity? Means the return type should be just like in the previous example, it's the table of student. Now, I single result of student. Yesterday, when you written a query, on the table, how did you write? From yes in DC dot students. From yes in DC dot students. We'll get you all the students data now. All the students data means ID, name, class, piece, photo, status. Then we have defined a list of student where student class, all the 6 attributes now. I'm talking with you only and no response. At least you don't understand, tell that. You put a blank face, I'm not able to read your faces. Ray, when I said, I repeat, yesterday, what did you say? From yes in DC dot students, select, what you get? How many attributes, how many columns? 6 columns, not 5, 6 columns. What are the 6 columns? Yes ID, name, class. And remember guys, you directly captured it as list of student. You captured it as a list of student now. And your student here has all the 5 attributes. Sorry, all the 6. So these 6 and 6 are correctly matching now. Understood? Now today it is a list of student, I single result of student. I single result of student. But now don't write the query. Call the procedure. Procedure means method. How to call DC dot student underscore select. And I'm passing null, comma, null. Null, comma, null means all records, no conditions now. Both are null, all will come. Are you getting me my point? Understood or not? Here what? You are getting the table, assigning to list. Here, you are just calling procedure, assigning to list. Are you clearer? But I have a small doubt here. How many columns are you fetching in the procedure? 5 columns. But how many attributes the class student has? Then how the mapping will be done then? Yesterday, no problem. Why? You're fetching all the columns. Don't forget. You're fetching. And here also we have all the 6 now. But now problem is, this procedure is not fetching all the columns. The procedure is fetching 5 columns. But this is going to have 6 properties. Now mapping becomes a problem now. Yes or not? Tomorrow this chance is also there. What? Today you're getting less than the number of columns in the table. Tomorrow, can I get more than the number of columns in the table? Can I write a query to get more than the number of columns in a table? Yeah, you can write now. For example, I have an employee table. I'm writing select ID, name, salary, okay, from employee. Suppose these are the 3 columns in the table. Only 3 columns, ID, name and salary, or ID, name, job, salary. Only 4 columns are there. I'm fetching all the 4. Okay, but can I write a query like this, guys? Salary into 12 as, can I write a query like this? Now tell me, are you fetching the same number of columns? Huh? Are you fetching more than the number of columns now? Now also, you will face a problem here now. Why? Here if a class is defined, the class is defined only with 4 columns. But how many are you fetching? 5. Mapping becomes problem now. When you are fetching as it is the same number of columns, no issue, guys. If you are fetching lesser than the number of columns, or if you are getting more number of columns, then mapping becomes a problem. Agree with me or not? That is the reason why it doesn't use the student here. It doesn't use the student. And to use the student, did you drag and drop the student on the word designer? Huh? Then where is student class at all first? Yesterday we got, because yesterday we drag and drop it. Today we did not. So we don't have this class now. Then what happens, sir? What happens is, the class is different, guys. Where T is the class that will represent our entity. And this class is defined when we drag and drop the stored procedure, and the attributes of this class will be same as the number of columns we are fetching from the table. Read it carefully. Where T is the class that will represent our entity. Exactly, guys. Not T also. Any name can be used here, na? T entity. Just like see, T key T column. T key T value we discussed na. Same way T entity where is a that will represent our entity, and this is defined when we drag and drop the stored procedure, and the attributes of this class will be same as the number of columns you are fetching from the table now. You are fetching 5 columns. Now I have 5 properties only. I am fetching 10 columns. I'll have 10 properties. I'm fetching 8 columns, 8 properties. Is it clear? Understood? The name of this class will be the stored procedure name and suffixed with result. What's your procedure name? In our case, the stored procedure name is student underscore select. So our class name will be select result. This class will contain only the 5 attributes. Sir, when is this class defined? This class is defined when you drag and drop the select procedure. This class is defined when you drag and drop the select procedure. Watch it. Your procedure name is a tester. Then the class name will be test result. Your procedure name is XYZ. XYZ result. Your procedure name is student underscore select. So student underscore select result. And all of you observe it has status is not there. Check it out. Now tell me mapping works. Mapping works or not? So coming back here, just to make you clear, this is DC dot student underscore select of null comma null will return your of student underscore select result. You don't know how to work with a icicle result, na? Come on, tell me. Do you know? Don't know, na? Yesterday also you done the same thing only. Yeah. Yesterday it is a table. We call to list. Now also it is same thing, to list. Difference is here type is student, but here type is not. And this is the class what you require to use in your model binding. There is no student class, remember. Now, how do you do model binding now? In the previous example, model binding is done with student class, correct? But do you have student class now? Huh? No. So this is only your model now. All the models are bound with this class only. Which class? And you want only 5 attributes. Remember, this contains all the 5 attributes you want. So this class should be used for my model binding in the context. Okay. So guys, look at the fourth method also now. I shown you 3 methods earlier. Look at the fourth method. See there, one integer, one boolean. So can I pass null and null or not? Return type. See return type integer, return type integer, return type integer. Why non-query? For query, so underscore select result. Processor takes 2 parameters. One is integer, one is, and both are nullable. Question mark, question mark. Are you clear? Now, can you tell me the method signature now? For these 3 you said, now tell me for this also. Array, just now you said the methods for these 3. Tell me for this also, I'm telling now. Public I single result student underscore select result person name select int question mark SID bool question mark status. That's your method. Is it clear or not? Understood me? Okay. If you directly go to your class, create object dot, you can see all the method signatures in the intelligence now. Check it out. Add a controller, guys. What name? Same name, student only, na. So let's name it as student controller only. Now listen, all of you. Do you have a DAL class now? No. Actually, DAL class contains methods now. Now also you have methods now. Where the methods are? Context class. So directly create the context class instance. Where is the context class? Models. MVCDB data context. Unfortunately, there is no default constructor. So configuration manager dot connection strings of dot connection string. And here, what name to use? I said, guys, the name you have in the config file. Go to config, copy the name here, and use it here. Getting error because we did not import the namespace. configuration. System dot configuration. Just importing that and writing. Now this will do this. Now see DC dot check out here all the 4 methods and check out your signatures. What I said now is exactly matching or not. Return type integer, parameter int question mark, insert, return type integer, int, string, int, decimal string. I single result. System.data.link is the namespace. Ignore that. I single result. Student underscore select result. And parameters. Int and bool. Next update. Return type integer. You can check all the things here. Just don't believe me. Go and see there. That's all. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. But when you see the code, everything should match with what I say there. Yesterday I said, what is it? Default constructor is defined, but that did not define. That's what? Nothing in my hands. That depends upon how the tool is designed. Earlier, the tool used to write the default constructor, but latest version, default constructor is missing. Are you clearer, everyone? Okay, so that's what. And to write this, we corrected our code now. Just a second once, guys. We corrected our code here for creating the instance of the data context. Yeah, any of the two. Are you clear? Either default constructor or the parameterized constructor. But don't forget here, when you configuration manager, you're required to import system.configuration. System.configuration. I'll update the notes here. That namespace should be imported. Is it clearer or not? Sir, model namespace not required. Why? We defined the DAL class also in the models folder only. Correct or not? But today you imported because I created instance in controller. Yesterday you created this instance in DAL class, where DAL class is in the model namespace. But today we skipped the DAL class and directly instance is created in the controller. That is why I should import model namespace also, configuration namespace also. Both namespaces should be imported in this context. Okay, read guys, calling a. If we wanted to call stored process of SQL Server database by using link, we need to first drag and drop those processes on the right-hand side panel of Word Designer from, so that they get converted into methods under our data context class. What is your data context class? That is MVC DB data context. Okay, with the same name of procedure, the method name won't change. What is your procedure name? Method name is also same. In this process, if the procedure has any parameter, then those parameters will be defined for methods also. That is, input parameters of procedure will become, and output parameters of procedure will become ref parameter. Ref is nothing but in out. Output is there. For example, if the below stored procedure was tapped on our right-hand side panel, see that Create procedure add, @accent, @void, @z output. Now here, public int add, int question mark x, int question mark y, ref int question mark z. Am I clear? What next? If the procedure is defined to perform any, then the return type of the method will be integer. Whereas if the procedure is defined to perform query operation, then return type of the method will be I single result of t, where t represents a class, that is newly defined when we drag and drop the query procedure. When you drag and drop the query procedure, and the name of this class will be stored procedure name suffixed with result. Stored procedure name suffixed with result. For example, just a minute. For example, if the procedure name is student underscore select, then the class name will be student underscore selectors. The class name will be student underscore selectors. Next, to test calling stored procedure, create a new web application project, naming it as MVC with link to. Choose MVC project template and click on create button. Now open Solution Explorer and under the models folder add OAuth designer, and to do that open add new item window, select the option link to SQL classes, name it as mvcdb.dbml and click on the add button. Now open and configure MVCDB database under it. And create the below 4 stored processes in the database. We'll create the below 4 stored processes in the database to perform CRUD operations on student table, Next, to create a procedure, right click on stored procedures node under the database and select the option add new stored procedure, which opens a window. Write the procedure code over there, and after implementing the code, right click on the document window and select execute, which will create the procedure on the database. Creating a procedure. You know how to create a procedure in Management Studio also. You know how to create a procedure in Visual Studio also. Follow any process you like and create. First procedure, student select. And remember, fetching all the records, fetching records based on status, fetching records based on ID, fetching records based on second procedure, insert. Third procedure, update. Fourth procedure, delete. Next step, drag and drop the 4 stored procedures were defined on the right-hand side panel of what design, which will generate the required methods in. It also generates a class with the name student underscore select result, mapping with the results retrieved by student underscore select stored procedure. In this case, we don't have student model class generated because we did not drag and drop student table on the OAuth designer. So we can use student underscore result class as our model to perform model binding for views. Is my point clear? What is missing? Student class is not generated because we did not drag and drop. So use student underscore select result class as your model for performing model binding to views. Okay. Now you can start doing your actions now. Shall we? Guys, have a look, guys. First, we have a default constructor parameterized. So what shall I do? Dot connections thing. So for better, copy from here and paste. Understood? Okay. In the notes, I need to correct it, man. Okay, also in the old version, so I just created you like this. Already on the top, I listed. Now let me copy paste that code here. Give some water for her. She fine? Okay. Yeah. Now come to your code. Now start writing up your things. Basically, three namespaces I need to import. One is IO. Why? Array. Directory, creating the direct image. Image is there na? For that. IO. Next, configuration models. Okay. First, write all your methods same like yesterday, guys. First method, display students. Public, view result, display students. Okay. Display students. Here you want to display all the students, correct now? Watch guys, where students is equals to DC dot students underscore select student underscore select null comma true. This will get you all the active students now. What next? Yesterday, like this only, now you did write the code. But yesterday you called a method. Which method? A method defined in the DAL class. But today, directly procedure only there. So what is skipped off? DAL class code is not required now. We are saving the time of writing DAL class by defining the procedures in the database. And that too, this performs good also, because you already know procedures are pre-compiled block of code which is ready for execution. So this is a very better architecture. But if you want to call the same procedure in your radio.NET, do you remember the steps, guys? Command class instance, passing the procedure name as a command text. Set the command type. Now start adding all the parameters. If 100 parameters are there, 100 lines of code, parameters dot add with value. If output parameters are there, again, you need to call execute reader. If it is a query procedure, or execute non-query, if it is a, but now here, 2 lines of code. Create an instance. How simple link made you the things you understood now? Yes or not? Link is making your work easy and simple. It said you call the method, I give the result, take the result and use it. That's all. Okay, now right click, add view, MVC 5 view, and let us select the empty. What is your model? This is your model. Okay, click on the add button. Now write the same code. What did you done yesterday for creating the display view? For creating a display view, you written the code now. Now also it is same only. No difference in that. Check guys. Display, that only I said you last class. Going forward, all views are same. I'll change the model, that's all. Views are same, so I don't give an explanation. First they typed all and shown you, that's way. Watch. Display name for. Next, a loop. A loop. We're just using a loop. And this becomes a lengthy, the simple way. Where student in model. And then ID, name, class, page, photo. Next, view, edit, delete, display student, edit student, delete student. All code same like previous. Next, add new student. Run and watch. Actually, views here, sometimes you will see errors there, but still the code runs. The thing is, there is a compilation issue. Until the compilation is done, might be showing you some errors. Don't worry with them. If you're confident your code is right, you can just use the appropriate thing. Student underscore select result. Okay. Not using, oh, no. The problem is IEnumerable. This is the mistake. Because not one student, list of students. That's why you got the error with the model here. What is the problem? A model is a single student. Now, how you can apply a for each loop on it? When you can apply, a model is a list you can apply. Otherwise, not. No. That's why. I'm still showing the error. That only I said you. These errors are resolved only in the compilation. So, images not loaded. Not loaded. Why? Images we did not store in the database. We stored names there. Actual images are in your project only. Yes or not? Right now, the last project you created uploads folder and copied all the images. Where is the folder now? That's why you did not get it. But if I add a student, this folder will be created. But folder will be created, but old images won't come. If you want to get the old images, do that manually. What? Create the folder first. Add new folder. What is the name? Uploads. Right click. Okay. Add existing item and select all the images. Actually, the images are present in my images folder. Six students are there now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't bother about errors in model. Here, see, here display bar is not showing error. Here display bar is showing error. But still the code is executed. Got it? Understood me? Array, now can you write the remaining methods? Same only. Only thing is no more student. It is student underscore select result. Student underscore select result. Are you clearer or not? Okay. Try creating the procedures. Drag and drop. Check it out whether all the things are coming or not. Tomorrow we will conclude the rest. Understood my point? We'll conclude the rest of the things. I won't give any detailed explanation again because I said you all things in detail, every method debugged and showed you. I'll change class names, that's all. Sorry, what class name? Model class. Where you will change, sir? Already in the view I changed. So in every view, not only in the view, in your methods also. What is that? Guys, observe. Last day, what you taken? Student, student. But today, student underscore select result student. Is it clearer or not? Okay, in all these class names has to be changed. That's all. Remaining all process is same only. See? Student.photo. Now call the method. Which method? Insert. Pass all the values. Here, I don't require to deal with the status. Why? I did not bring the status at all. If I bring the status, default value false will go off. I did not bring the status. When I don't bring the status, in database, default value is true only. So no need to deal with the status. That also got simplified now. That also got simplified. Understood my point? But rest all processes exactly the same way. How did you do with the student? But all the places, the model class will be differing for you as student underscore select result. That's it. Apart from that, all things are going to be same. Okay, now let me stop it here, guys. We'll continue tomorrow. Model. Here it is present now. In the notes, it is there. When I add it, I should take list there. When I take a list, that IEnumer also will come there. I did not take list. I taken empty. That is why IEnumerable did not come. That's it. Upload the notes, guys.
Recording stopped.